In depths of the deepest dungeons, a young boy stumbles upon a servant card, and from that moment onward, his existence transforms into a whirlwind within this realm. His life takes a drastic turn, prompting him to ponder whether this was mere chance or the workings of destiny. Curiosity fills his mind about the deity represented by the card, wondering who the goddess it embodies is beseeching. Brace yourself for the journey of an ordinary adventurer who, aided by an SSR card, ascends to become a true hero. The curtains rise on the saga of this high schooler turned hero amidst the masses. Buckle up, for this lad's saga of heroism commences now. In 2019, a multitude of subterranean structures materialized, giving rise to what became known as dungeons. Despite numerous expeditions by various nations' armies, these enigmatic labyrinths extend for hundreds of floors, harboring uncharted regions. Within these dungeons lie an abundance of treasures and creatures, revealing levels, skills, and magic confined solely to these underground realms, a mirror image of fantasy games. This newfound world within the dungeons heralded an unprecedented era of exploration. Nations vied for resources, leading to civilians tasked with delving into perilous territories, culminating in the establishment of adventurers, a specialized group qualified for dungeon exploration. Then, in 2024, Japan enacted dungeon laws, ushering an era where everyone gained access to these enigmatic spaces. Fast forward to 2028, Takagi Kaito, a high schooler and a seemingly average adventurer, busily explores the first floor of a nearby dungeon. Despite being labeled a mob, he embodies the essence of a genuine adventurer. As he notices a slime, yet to detect his presence, Kaito prepares to exert a bit more effort to navigate the situation. In a timely move, Takagi Kaito readies his anti-slime bug spray, a purchase that set him back 800 yen, aiming it with lethal intent at the unsuspecting slime. Discovering its potent effect against these creatures, Kaito no longer views slimes as threats. He confronts them with zeal, liberally spraying the bug spray across the dungeon walls. While the scent isn't pleasant, its effectiveness is undeniable. After an exhaustive 3-hour skirmish, Kaito secures 3 valuable pieces, ensuring not to overlook collecting them, stones known as magic shards, the essence of a monster's heart. These shards can be sold at the expedition office, fetching a modest 500 yen each due to the slime's commonness and weakness. Seated, Kaito contemplates how a regular part-time job might yield better returns than his current endeavors. Suddenly, he experiences an odd sensation, surrounded by sounds and lights. Hastily checking his status window, he learns of his ascent from level 2 to level 3, a welcome development. Beginning his adventuring journey at 15, now reaping the rewards of his toil in battling slimes, Kaito, albeit at the wood rank, sees this as the fruition of his efforts. With perseverance, he aims to climb the ranks, aspiring to achieve the coveted Orichalcum rank, the pinnacle of the adventurer's ranking system. In an impulsive decision, Takagi Kaito resolves to challenge the second floor, rumored to be inhabited by goblins and other humanoid creatures. Despite meticulous planning, the specifics of the monsters awaiting him remain a mystery. Armed with his 1500 yen wooden sword, Kaito steps in and immediately encounters not one but 2 goblins, a surprising and challenging situation. Recognizing the precariousness of this encounter, he questions his ability to confront these foes solo. The option to retreat back up the stairs remains a viable escape route. As Kaito assesses the situation, he observes the goblins fixated on their potential prey, surrounded by discarded items, backpacks, gear, and even clothing strewn about. What strikes him as odd is these goblins, despite their nature, indulging in human-like behaviors such as chewing gum and smoking, adding an uncanny twist to the encounter. Kaito surmises that these goblins might have been camping at the entrance, lying in wait to prey upon and plunder unsuspecting novice adventurers. With retreat not a viable option, a sense of obligation dawns upon Kaito. He feels compelled to impart a lesson to these deceptive adversaries. This, he believes, marks the genesis of Takagi Kaito's true legend. But the very next moment, the newbie legend was taken down in a second and Kaito realizes that goblins were indeed strong and extremely scary. The goblin sees Kaito's wooden sword, looming menacingly over him. However, a stroke of luck intervenes as the goblins become embroiled in their own altercation, providing Kaito with a fleeting opportunity for a daring move. Spotting an escape route, Kaito bolts toward it, realizing he had vastly underestimated the lower floors and the formidable might of the goblins. The harsh reality hits him. Everything was a clear lie. Kaito arrives at the Adventurer Expedition Center, commonly referred to as the Dungeon Guild, a central hub for adventurers to post and acquire jobs, exchange dungeon-related information, recruit party members, and trade acquired magic shards. The bustling space witnesses various adventurers sharing their experiences. One boy applauds a comrade for reaching the 5th floor, while another boasts of his struggles on the 4th floor, receiving a teasing remark from a girl seated beside him for taking all the credit despite her assistance. Amidst this exchange, the lone boy voices his intention to stop associating with random acquaintances and start forming parties with girls. However, their focus swiftly shifts as Kaido enters the center. Observing Kaido's appearance, wrapped in bandages akin to a mummy, they speculate about the intense life and death battles he might have endured. Little do they know, Kaido's condition resulted not from daring exploits but from a humbling experience. He's merely a novice adventurer who faced defeat on the second floor and hurriedly retreated home. Kaido overhears discussions about a gold-ranked adventurer conquering the 30th floor, amplifying his feelings of insignificance as a wood-ranked adventurer, seemingly valuable only for environmental tasks. The conversation highlights the daunting challenge of battling intelligent and robust goblins, an endeavor seemingly beyond the capabilities of a mere high schooler like him. As Kaido hears others consider asking for his help on the 5th floor, Kaido pleads with them not to raise their expectations, fully aware that he might disappoint. Amidst this, the girl summons the courage to request a moment of Kaido's time. However, an announcement interrupts their interaction, calling out number 45 to counter 3. Without deliberation, Kaido rushes towards the counter, finding solace in the distraction it provides. Here, amidst the camaraderie and party formations, Kaido reflects on going solo in contrast to the community's enjoyment. Welcomed by the attendant, Kaido experiences a wave of despondency and feels depressed by his current state. He intends on swiftly selling off the shards and heading home. The woman on the counter manages to notice that Kaido was having a rough time. On the other hand, Kaido was totally distracted by something huge. Kaido was aware about this woman who is one of the Adventurer Expedition Center's state dungeon staff, Miss Hitsugaya. Hitsugaya earnestly advises Kaido to abandon his solo approach, emphasizing the extreme danger of navigating the upper floors alone. Yet, Kaido finds himself captivated by her beauty, momentarily distracted. As Hitsugaya persistently tries to communicate with him, Kaido confesses his struggle to find someone compatible to team up with. Hitsugaya echoes the common sentiment among solo adventurers, highlighting the inherent risks of solo expeditions and the relative safety of exploring with summoned servants. Introducing Kaido to the concept of summoned servants via rare cards dropped by monsters, Hitsugaya elaborates on their significance. These cards, when used inside dungeons, grant the ability to summon various creatures, ranging from goblins to dragons, and even rare god cards capable of summoning celestial beings like angels. She reveals that only around 100 such cards have been confirmed to exist. Intrigued, Kaido wonders if obtaining such a card could enable him to continue going solo. Hitsugaya offers a more lucrative suggestion. Selling such a card at auction could yield a staggering 1 billion yen, although none have been sold this far. Hitsugaya presents Kaido with today's reward for his collected magic shards, totaling 35,000 yen, an outcome of diligently hunting slimes for a month. Kaido yearns for that elusive S-rank servant card, believing it to be the key to his aspirations. Expressing his gratitude, he bids farewell to Hitsugaya, eager to return home. As he makes his exit, Hitsugaya calls out to Kaido, offering encouragement and a reassuring smile, emphasizing the importance of pacing oneself and not losing heart. However, before Kaido can leave, the persistent girl reapproaches him, drawing attention from her companions and calling out to Kaido for a conversation. Sensing potential trouble, Kaido swiftly moves to evade further complications, choosing to make a hasty departure. Late into the night, Kaido delves into internet research, seeking further insights about dungeon monsters' loot drops. He discovers that, aside from slimes, most dungeon creatures hold a slim chance of dropping items, typically ranging from 1 to 3%. Slimes, however, seem to drop nothing at all. The major drops encompass potions, equipment, rare metals, and coveted items like magic orbs for spell casting, skill blocks for retaining learned abilities, vital jellies, among others. The rarest category includes servant cards, but information about SR God cards remains scarce, limited to what Miss Hitsugaya had shared with Kaido. Dreaming momentarily of commanding a powerful red dragon capable of vanquishing a demon king, Kaido indulges in these fantasies before regaining his focus. Aware of his current state, he acknowledges the need to prioritize his recovery and opts to turn in for the night and sleep well. 3 months later, Takagi Kaido resumes his battle with slimes, armed once more with his bug spray. Halting after dispatching 2 slimes, he realizes with a sense of satisfaction that his injuries have finally healed entirely. Determined to avoid recklessness, he commits to steadily exterminating slimes on the 1st floor. However, amidst his routine, he detects an unusual noise approaching him. Startled, Kaido discovers a rainbow-colored slime with legs, a sight unprecedented in his 2 years of hunting these creatures. This slime, he quickly learns, possesses abnormal speed and mischievously darts around him, rendering Kaido unable to deploy his bug spray. Frustrated by the slime's agility, Kaido feels utterly helpless and desperate to stop its antics in the confined space. Desperate for a solution, Kaido resorts to spraying the entire area, limiting the rainbow slime's mobility. Finally, the resilient slime succumbs to exhaustion, collapsing. Overjoyed by his success, Kaido's celebration is short-lived as he succumbs to a fit of coughing brought on by inhaling excessive bug spray fumes. The expensive and physically taxing technique, involving dual-wielding rotating bug sprays, takes its toll. To his surprise, the slime has dropped an item, an unusual occurrence as slimes typically do not yield loot. Upon closer inspection, Kaido identifies an image of an angelic figure named Sylphie inscribed on the item, written in an unfamiliar script. Despite the foreign language, Kaido's intuition screams that this is a god-class servant, a belief reinforced by his gut feeling. Kaido's happiness knew no bounds as he could only see the 1 billion yen. That day the guild received multiple reports of a mysterious figure causing a ruckus on the dungeon's first floor, emanating a strange shriek. Well, this was none other than the overexcited Takagi Kaido. Arriving at the altar hall, Kaido attempts to compose himself, wary of prematurely celebrating before confirming whether the found item was indeed an S-rare card. He contemplates having it appraised instantly at the guild but recalls Hitsuge's cautionary advice about people concealing rare cards. Realizing the potential danger of possessing an S-rare card, a literal billion-yen asset, Kaido becomes apprehensive. The prospect of attracting unwanted attention or even threats from those seeking to exploit his newfound treasure concerns him greatly. Focusing on the task at hand, Kaido dedicates himself to learning more about the servant named Sylphie. Kaido delves deeper into Sylphie's lore, discovering her belonging to the Valkyrie race, resembling more of a demigod. If this classification holds true, she indeed qualifies as a god-class servant. Visualizing her as a gentle and beautiful older sister figure, Kaido reflects on his childhood desire for an elder sibling, realizing the potential emotional connection he might have with Sylphie. However, Kaido faces a crucial decision. Summoning Sylphie would bind her exclusively to him, rendering the card worthless in the market. Despite the allure of a lavish lifestyle fueled by 1 billion yen, he grapples with the choice between material wealth and the companionship of Sylphie. After much contemplation and inner struggle, Kaido ultimately decides to forego the 1 billion yen, choosing to summon Sylphie. Kaido's choice to become an adventurer stemmed not from a pursuit of riches but from a profound dream to witness the marvels concealed within the dungeons. Holding up the card and summoning Sylphie, he anticipates her appearance, but to his surprise, nothing happens initially. As an inexplicable essence envelops the area, peculiar occurrences unfurl, capturing Kaido's attention. Amidst the surreal ambience, he notices a colossal figure, prompting him to question if servants were truly this immense. However, in a sudden turn, the majestic creature vanishes, leaving Kaido bewildered. His confusion persists until he perceives a small, exquisite being standing before him. Baffled by this unexpected transformation, Kaido gazes at the creature, filled with curiosity, and asks for its identity. Takagi Kaido, a novice adventurer, dedicates himself to exploring dungeons while simultaneously attending high school. Despite his commitment, his abilities remain average. Strangely, he excels at overpowering slimes but struggles, often being bested by goblins due to his mediocrity. One fateful day, Takagi Kaido unexpectedly acquires a divine-type servant card from a peculiar slime. Revealed on the status screen is a Valkyrie named Sylphie, leaving Kaido in awe, believing even 1 billion yen would fall short in comparison to the value held by this extraordinary card. However, without any second thought, Kaido decided to summon Sylphie. Takagi Kaido's heroic story with this beautiful Valkyrie begins now. Awe, the unexpected twists of summoning. Instead of the envisioned beautiful woman, a little girl emerges from the super rare 1 billion yen card. The stark contrast between Kaido's expectations and the reality of the summoned entity catches him completely off guard. Kaido scans his surroundings before addressing the young girl standing before him. He inquires if she has seen a tall, beautiful woman, mentioning that she was recently present, floating in the area. The girl gestures to herself, indicating that she is the same individual. Kaido chuckles, expressing doubt, stating that the summoned servant was an SR young woman, differing in size. However, he can't ignore the fact that this girl's melons were also notably well developed. The young girl assures Kaido that she's not deceiving him, her voice resonating with an unusual clarity. Identifying herself as Sylphie, she affirms that she's answered his summons and pledges to serve Kaido earnestly in any way she can. Sylphie's smile melts Kaido's heart, captivated by her endearing charm. He muses on whether this girl resembles a younger version of the woman on the card, noting the presence of tiny wings adorning her back. Her unearthly qualities confirm her status as a non-human entity, undoubtedly the summoned servant. Reflecting on his own preferences, Kaido acknowledges that Sylphie perfectly fits the bill for someone who appreciates lowlies. Considering this perspective, he concludes that Sylphie is indeed a rare S-class servant. Kaido slumps onto the ground, utterly despondent. This miniature version of Sylphie was far from his expectations. His disappointment is profound, realizing he's squandered his chance at the 1 billion yen prize, a significant sum by any standard, especially in the Bank of Japan. Instant regret washes over him. He chastises himself for not considering the decision more seriously. Sylphie, noticing Kaido's distress, questions if something is amiss. Kaido, grappling with his sense of loss, grumbles about his chronic affliction, what he terms 1 billion seizures. Despite his turmoil, Sylphie, innocently concerned, seeks to reassure and comfort him. In an attempt to allay her worries, Kaido dismisses his distress as a common occurrence and advises her not to pay it much heed. Sylphie, in response, insists that she will handle all future battles to prevent any strain on Kaido. Amidst this exchange, Kaido finds himself captivated by Sylphie's clear and compassionate gaze, drawing his attention away from his woes. Well, it's evident that Sylphie genuinely cares for Kaido, but his mind remains preoccupied with thoughts of the lost billion yen. His heart feels heavy, prompting Sylphie to inquire if the 1 billion seizures are resurfacing. However, Kaido clarifies that this feeling is distinct, expressing gratitude to Sylphie for easing his previous distress. He affectionately pats Sylphie's head and expresses his thanks. Despite the immense value of the billion yen, Kaido acknowledges that his Chunabu dream holds greater significance. It was a real thing. He reassures himself that he's made a deliberate choice, one he won't regret. Kaido gets down on his knee and formally introduces himself to Sylphie. However, Sylphie becomes anxious, feeling uncomfortable with her master bowing to her. She deems it unacceptable. Kaido reassures her, stating that there's no need for such formality, but Sylphie remains perturbed. Moving deeper into the dungeon, Sylphie leads the way, sensing something ahead. Surprisingly, while not a learned skill, she seems capable of detecting the presence of monsters. Kaido typically encounters a slime per hour alone, but with Sylphie's ability to pinpoint enemies, his hunting efficiency could soar, leading to a potential increase in his income from magic crystals. Grateful for this newfound ability, Kaido remains curious about its origin. Intrigued, he checks Sylphie's status, discovering that despite being a level 1 lowly, her battle prowess stands impressively at 170 points. Battle point, also known as BP, holds significant importance in dungeon exploration, representing an individual's fighting capabilities and physical prowess. At level 3, Kaido possesses a total of 10 BP, allowing him to sustain less damage within dungeon confines. This ability remains exclusive to dungeons and doesn't extend beyond their bounds. Despite his BP advantage, Kaido maintains skepticism regarding Sylphie's capabilities. To him, she appears merely as a cute lowly, contrary to the elaborate portrayal on the card. The absence of the promised enemy search skill on the card's recorded skills further fuels Kaido's distrust. He suspects a potential display error or misinformation on the card. Unexpectedly, Sylphie alerts Kaido of an impending encounter with a monster just around the corner, eager to demonstrate her abilities. However, Kaido feels apprehensive about navigating the dungeon with a young girl. He fears potential misunderstandings if other explorers witness him with Sylphie and report it to the guild. Concerned about the potential repercussions, he hesitates, while Sylphie urgently warns Kaido of the approaching monster. Kaido notices the monster, confirming Sylphie's remarkable ability to detect enemies. He expresses concern about her handling the situation alone, mindful of her young age. Despite his worries, he encourages her, promising immediate aid if needed, even offering his bug spray as a specialized weapon. Sylphie assures Kaido of her capability to manage the situation. He stands behind her, protective and watchful, adopting a role akin to that of an older brother safeguarding his younger sister. Sylphie leaps forward, confronting the slime directly. With a display of her divine lightning skill, the sheer power reverberates through the area, overwhelming even Kaido stationed at a distance. The intensity of the lightning strikes leaves him astounded. Sylphie follows up with the divine spear, Raisin, and Kaido was astonished with her continued prowess. However, a terrifying noise disrupts the scene. He wonders what's with that terrifying sound. Confused, Kaido realizes that the slime had already been reduced to ashes, realizing that Sylphie had massively overpowered it. The sheer force of her spear throw caused this overkill. Suddenly, a round brick strikes Kaido squarely on his face, catching him totally off guard. The alarming incident sends ripples of fear to the lower floors, unsettling 3 adventurers below. Puzzled by the unsettling vibrations, they speculate about a possible earthquake or structural collapse on the upper floor. Concerned for their safety, they halt their activities, contemplating the unpredictable dangers within a dungeon environment. One of them proposes a swift collection of magic crystals, advocating for calling it a day and leaving promptly. Meanwhile, Sylphie was done. Takagi Kaido was also almost done with his life. Amidst the commotion, he can't help but wonder if this scenario resembles a comedy sketch gone awry. Struggling to rise, Kaido acknowledges the gravity of the situation, expressing his fear of a potential demise. Sylphie immediately apologizes, deeply affected by the unintended harm caused to her master. Emotionally distraught, she perceives injuring Kaido as the gravest mistake she could commit. Bowing in shame, she deems herself a failed servant. However, Kaido empathizes with Sylphie, assuring her that the responsibility lies with him for encouraging her to do her best. He reassures her that the outcome is a consequence of his directives. Disagreeing with Sylphie's self-criticism, Kaido adamantly asserts that Sylphie is not a failure as a servant. If servants were meant to be obedient to their masters, Sylphie was a success. Struggling to rise, Kaido extends a helping hand to Sylphie, playfully suggesting that she was opposing her master's judgment about her failure. Initially speechless, Sylphie blushes as she was caught off guard by Kaido's playful teasing. She hesitates for a moment before reaching out her hand to Kaido, expressing her gratitude and feeling blessed to have him as her master. Amused by Sylphie's reactions, Kaido is once again glad to meet this little packet of surprises. Surveying the aftermath, Kaido marvels at the extensive destruction caused, acknowledging Sylphie's incredible power. The status screen's display of her 170 BP seemed to have understated her actual might. Convinced now, Kaido reevaluates and affirms Sylphie is a genuine God-class SR servant, a living Valkyrie. He contemplates addressing her with more reverence, considering referring to her as Lady Sylphie and not just Sylphie. Amidst his contemplation, a deafening noise startles Kaido, causing him to cover his ears in distress. Kaido begins searching for the source of the sound, while Sylphie remains unaffected, claiming she hears nothing. To Kaido's surprise, he realizes the noise emanates from Sylphie herself. Initially denying it, Sylphie eventually admits to the noise originating from her stomach, hungry after expending her powers. She tries to conceal herself in embarrassment, admitting her imminent collapse, to which Kaido, filled with concern, responds that she already seemed to have collapsed. Well, that day the unidentified noise echoing from the first floor of the dungeon instilled panic among the explorers. Misinterpreting it as an emergency alarm following an earthquake, the adventurers were seized by fear. Fearing the worst, they hastily made the decision to evacuate immediately, unable to comprehend what the hell was going on that day. During a tranquil dinner scene, Kaido couldn't help but ponder Sylphie's dietary habits. Her consumption of magic crystals intrigued him, leaving him wondering about their taste and effect. Sylphie had experienced a depleted MP on the first day due to exerting too much strength. Eating restored her vitality, linking her hunger to the decrease in her MP. Realizing that feeding her magic crystals not only sated her hunger but also boosted her MP, Kaido found a way to address both needs. After their meal, Kaido suggests resuming their hunting activities, recalling Hitsuge's advice regarding servants, that when the servant's HP reaches 0, the card will lose its effect and one will no longer be able to summon them again. Kaido acknowledges that despite Sylphie's strength, she collapses when hungry, making her vulnerable and that she wasn't invincible. He resolves to be cautious and not push her beyond her limits. Sylphie then alerts Kaido to the presence of a potential threat, prompting Kaido to take charge this time. He acknowledges the practicality of Sylphie's ability to detect enemies, finding it undeniably useful. Kaido's previous pace of encountering one slime per hour had remarkably increased to an average of 6. This significant boost in hunting efficiency was a boon, but the true blessing lay in his newfound motivation for exploration. As Sylphie detects another presence, Kaido reflects on his past 2 years of solo hunting and acknowledges the unexpected joy of having a companion to converse and journey with. Though Sylphie questions if anything is amiss with Kaido, he reassures her and they continue forward. In this moment, Kaido is filled with nothing but gratitude towards Sylphie. Taking a brief pause, Kaido proudly presents their collection from the past 3 months. He proudly notes that today, they managed to defeat 8 slimes in just an hour, setting a new personal record for his slime killing spree. Sylphie's gaze fixated greedily and she was caught off guard drooling over the magic crystals, hinting at her desire for a share of the rewards. Kaido sensed her thoughts about dividing the spoils between them. He was ready to provide Sylphie with plenty to sustain herself, understanding her needs. However, Sylphie refused, acknowledging that these crystals were gained through Kaido risking his life and opting for only what she needed to continue. Expressing gratitude for the success they achieved together, Kaido insisted that the earnings were a result of their joint efforts, urging Sylphie not to hold back. In a dramatic gesture, Sylphie dramatically declined the offer, citing a principle that those not actively engaged in battle shouldn't partake. She adhered to this principle as a Valkyrie, refusing rewards if she couldn't contribute in battle. This was indeed worrisome. While it concerned Kaido to witness such strong convictions from his servant, he understood the reason behind his decision to prevent Sylphie from engaging with slimes. His multiple encounters with her devastating divine lightning against the slimes led him to experiment with its power. By adjusting its output, even minimal use turned slimes to ash, consuming the same MP as a slime's magic crystal. In essence, saving up magic crystals became impossible if Sylphie used her skill to defeat the slimes, considering the high cost it incurred. Managing resources efficiently was also a crucial concern. Though Sylphie could engage in battles without using her skills, Kaido found it unfair to place a lowly like her at the forefront while he remained in the rear, merely giving instructions. Therefore, he assigned her the role of scouting for enemies. While Kaido finished off slimes with his bug spray, he still desired to give Sylphie the opportunity to demonstrate her abilities. However, he feared becoming a burden to her if they ventured to lower floors with his current abilities. Amid these worries, Kaido's wish for a level up was granted, and he finally gained a skill, the Slime Slayer. This skill was a reward for those who relentlessly battled slimes, and Kaido had battled nearly 3,000 slimes to date. Now this was a shame. Yet, to his dismay, Sylphie joyfully congratulated her master, unaware of the skill's peculiar nature. Well, ignorance was indeed blissful. Despite the oddity of the skill, the leveling up was a welcome development. Kaido then suggested ending their expedition for the day much earlier than usual. As he planned for the next day, Sylphie remained unaware of his intentions. The following day in the dungeon, Kaido summoned Sylphie once more, eagerly anticipating her arrival in her full, stunning form. Sylphie expresses her gratitude for being summoned and pledges to continue doing her best for the day. Kaido's excitement bubbles as he summons her, wondering if she'll appear in her magnificent state with a gorgeous figure. Meanwhile, Sylphie notices the shield and compliments Kaido, impressed by his appearance. Kaido, thrilled by the compliment, modestly explains that it's just an equipment purchase within his budget, considering the expenses for bug sprays, a new wooden sword, and this new steel shield. Sylphie approves, happy that her master prioritizes their safety, enhancing their ability to hunt slimes securely. Yet, Kaido informs her that their adversaries today weren't ordinary slimes. It was time to advance and progress to the second floor. As they begin their journey toward the second floor, Sylphie reveals her excitement for her first time on this level, while Kaido grapples with fear. His inner thoughts caution him against encountering those goblins again, but he realizes he can't remain solely hunting slimes forever. As the hunting session is about to start, Kaido asks Sylphie if she can watch his back again, to which she quickly agrees. Kaido feels a pang of guilt, knowing that Sylphie could display her powers in the deeper dungeon floors. However, before heading further down, he feels the need to conquer the goblins on his own. Venturing deeper into the second floor, Sylphie remarks on its darker ambience compared to the first floor. Kaido notices the lingering debris from his previous encounters, realizing it has accumulated. Sylphie's warning about a nearby presence startles Kaido. Whatever it is definitely hiding. Sweat pours down his body, triggering vivid flashbacks of his past thrashing by the goblins. His legs quiver, followed by his entire body trembling uncontrollably. He's puzzled by the sudden reaction, feeling as if his body is revving up like an engine. Concerned, Sylphie notices his distress and questions if Kaido's 1 billion seizures have returned. In that moment, Kaido feels an urge to strike something small and tiny with a stupid mouth, but he's unable to act upon it. Kaido musters his composure and assures Sylphie that he's alright, determined to project strength. He has to show her that he is the man here. Well, Sylphie could sense that there was something hiding in its proximity but not its exact location. All Kaido could see here was this heap of trash. They opt to expand their search, but as the pile trembles, Kaido, acting swiftly, strikes it with his wooden sword, only to discover it was merely a small rat. No way. Undeterred, he inspects further, unaware of the lurking threat above. Hearing a noise, Kaido faces 2 menacing goblins leaping down to attack him from above. These damn things. Kaido accidentally notices his old wooden sword from the last time, which meant that these were the same goblins who had beaten up him back then. Kaido confronts the goblins head-on. He notices Sylphie poised to join the fray but intervenes, insisting she stay clear of these formidable opponents. Sylphie's concern mirrors Kaido's own worries. If he's overwhelmed here, the deeper floors will pose even greater challenges. Utilizing his new shield, Kaido manages to corner the goblins against the wall, acknowledging their small size but ferocious nature. Yet, with his leveled up skills and improved physique, he's determined to triumph over them. The goblins squirmed on the wall, posing a growing threat to Kaido. In a dire moment, one breaks free, poised to strike Kaido, but Sylphie swiftly intervenes, refusing to permit harm to her master. It's clear that Sylphie is fiercely protective of Kaido, never allowing anyone to endanger him. However, her intervention results in a surprising outcome behind Kaido, stunning him. Caught off guard by Sylphie's actions, Kaido is astonished. With a puppy-like expression, Sylphie confesses to her master, acknowledging that while she was instructed not to interfere, Kaido had also tasked her with watching his back. Additionally, she hadn't utilized any skills until then. With remarkable ease, Sylphie eliminated one of the menacing creatures, earning Kaido's gratitude for her assistance. He then requests her to allow him to handle the remaining goblin himself. With a mission in mind, Kaido gauges the wooden sword's reach and aims a powerful strike at the goblin's head, executing his plan flawlessly. However, his hand throbs intensely, akin to hitting a tire. To his astonishment, the goblin remains completely unfazed, frustrating Kaido immensely. What the hell? In the midst of his exasperation, Sylphie's encouraging words reach him, praising his efforts and assuring him of his capabilities. Kaido's inner frustration surges. Does this little idiot truly believe he's divine? Well, Kaido was the one who decided to show Sylphie that he was a man. Seeking composure, Kaido rationalizes that despite the goblin's strength, it's still a living being. Unsure of goblins having genders, he's resolute that this one standing before him is his immediate adversary. As the goblin leaps towards him, Kaido steels himself, determined not to succumb to fear again and prepared to confront the creature head-on this time. With a forceful blow, the goblin is sent hurtling, blood spilling from its mouth along the trajectory. Kaido, standing motionless, only registers the conclusion of the encounter after a moment. His elation erupts, prompting a joyous leap, yet his legs quiver uncontrollably. Sylphie becomes his anchor, embracing him as a savior, praising his incredible feat. In that moment, Kaido realizes that despite Sylphie's ability to handle situations solo, she chose to have faith in him. She's become his goddess of victory, a source of immense luck and support. Despite feeling a bit lightheaded, Kaido experiences extreme happiness. Sylphie offers him rest on her lap, a comforting gesture marred only by the discomfort of her knee guards. In this tender moment, Kaido amusingly contemplates the idea of spreading the cult of Sylphie worldwide. Takagi Kaido was training for real, and this time he proved by killing 4 of those damn goblins. At this stage, Kaido defeated a goblin in a mere flash. At the beginning, Kaido struggled against goblins, but now he easily dispatches them one by one. Sylphie remains a constant source of encouragement, cheering for her master after every impressive battle. Her habit of embracing Kaido after each fight leaves him feeling embarrassed. He gently suggests that she doesn't need to hug him, but Sylphie insists, expressing her desire to be there to support him if he were to collapse again. Kaido reassures her, stating firmly that he wouldn't collapse again because of a mere creature. His determination shines through his words, assuring Sylphie that he's stronger and more capable than before. Kaido was left no choice but to show her some of his moves, to specific that he could move his legs really well even after a fight. Sylphie just couldn't take her eyes off her charming master. After 2 years of battling slimes, Kaido had only reached level 4, but his exploration of the second floor propelled him to level 9 in a remarkably short period. Moreover, he acquired an anti-goblin skill, the temporary ability known as Goblin Slayer. So now this champ was a dual skill wielder. Sylphie, while expressing joy at her master's growing strength, also feels a tinge of sadness. She confides in Kaido, conveying her loneliness when she's not allowed to fight alongside him. However, Kaido reassures her, explaining that they'll soon advance to the next floor once he reaches level 10, where stronger and more challenging monsters await, creatures far superior to goblins. He promises Sylphie that her opportunity to shine will come soon. Remarkably, Sylphie is an estimated SR-ranked Valkyrie servant, possessing an incredible power that borders on being a cheat. Her abilities are so immense that she could single-handedly obliterate an entire goblin army if she so desired. Not that this guy was jealous, but Kaido recognized the risk of relying too heavily on Sylphie's power, and he understood that his personal growth could stagnate if he leaned solely on her abilities. As a character akin to a background figure or an average character in this setting, Kaido resolves to steadily train himself, striving for progress on his own terms. However, when Sylphie alerts him to the presence of enemies approaching, Kaido anticipates another encounter with a goblin. To his surprise, the creature that emerges isn't a goblin. Instead, it's something incredibly frightening and unfamiliar. In the bustling classroom, amidst the school routine, Mizutani Hayato and Uyama Shinji cornered Kaido, mocking him for still spending time in the dungeons. Although their taunts caused emotional harm, Kaido chose to remain silent. Hayato persisted, jesting about Kaido's recent hospitalization, teasing if a slime had gotten the better of him this time. Kaido calmly asserted that he had moved past hunting slimes. Perplexed, Shinji sat in front of Kaido and inquired if he had ceased being an explorer. Kaido clarified that he was presently focused on hunting goblins on the second floor. Hayato, surprised and impressed, asked if Kaido had finally achieved his revenge. However, the incident where Kaido encountered a skeleton and subsequently fainted remained a well-guarded secret. Kaido speculated about the occasional appearance of skeletons on the second floor, and after he fainted, Sylphie took charge and handled the skeleton for him. Amidst Hayato and Shinji's comments about moderation in exploration and the potential impact on one's social life, Kaido's frustration peaked. He felt the urge to mirror their rudeness and finally snapped, yelling at both of them and questioning the nonsense they were spewing. The scathing remark that scoundrels like them weren't popular and hadn't ever had girlfriends provoked hearty laughter from Hayato and Shinji. As their laughter echoed, Kaido diverted his gaze and caught sight of a stunning girl with long, luscious hair and sparkly, captivating eyes. Clad in the school uniform, she exuded an aura of exquisite beauty that captured his attention. Kaido couldn't tear his gaze away from Katsuragi, acknowledging that she looked especially adorable that day, resembling an angel in his eyes. However, Hayato, growing weary of Kaido's behavior, anticipated this turn of conversation. Here we go again. For some revenge, he recalled the history between Kaido and Katsuragi, knowing that they were childhood friends or something along those lines. Kaido hesitantly admitted they were somewhat friends, but Hayato pointed out that he had never witnessed them conversing. Unwilling to dwell on the past, Kaido brushed off the topic, preferring not to be reminded of it at that moment. But all this made Kaido walk down a beautiful yet painful memory lane. Kaido's mind drifts back to the days of carefree fun with Haruka, reminiscing about their easygoing relationship that once existed. However, a shift occurred, and he couldn't pinpoint when it began, but he started feeling unduly nervous around her, unintentionally creating a distance between them like an idiot. Amidst this introspection, Shinji disrupts Kaido by sharing an observation. Katsuragi had been watching him while he was asleep in class. This revelation excites Kaido, prompting him to question why Shinji hadn't mentioned it earlier. Shinji, matter-of-factly, adds that Katsuragi's expression seemed somewhat pained, as though she had swallowed a bitter bug. This unexpected revelation crushes Kaido's heart in an instant, leaving him shattered by the implications of Katsuragi's expression and possibly her feelings toward him. Amidst Hayato and Shinji's attempts to reason with Kaido, suggesting that Katsuragi, being popular, might not have an interest in someone solely focused on dungeon exploration and prone to injuries, Kaido finds their comments irritating as they were clearly taunting him. In the midst of their conversation, all Kaido really wanted was to understand if Katsuragi harbored any animosity towards him now, especially as he noticed her frequent gazes that seemed to pierce him deeply. Damn, it hurts. Suddenly, Hayato erupts, loudly calling out to Katsuragi, declaring that Kaido had something to tell her. Kaido, overwhelmed by embarrassment and frustration, feels like he's been metaphorically killed without any physical attack. He vehemently yells at Hayato to shut up, his emotions reaching a boiling point in that moment. Kaido had initially resolved to confess his feelings to Katsuragi once he reached the second floor of the dungeon. However, he found himself unable to muster the courage. Disheartened, he lowers his head, making a new promise to himself to progress not only in conquering the dungeon but also in his personal life. Determined to make things right, Kaido sets a new goal. He will confess to Katsuragi once he reaches the 10th floor of the dungeon. At the National Dungeon Exploration and Investigation Center's lobby, Kaido was warmly greeted by Miss Hitsugaya, seated at Lobby Area 4, who congratulated him on officially obtaining his Stone Rank Explorer license. Kaido felt a surge of happiness, realizing that positive things were happening for him as well. Achieving the Stone Rank required an individual BP of 20, and Kaido was thrilled to have reached this milestone. Miss Hitsugaya explained the benefits that came with ascending through the ranks beyond Stone Rank, including financial support and other favorable treatments. She highlighted that while reaching Stone Rank solidified one's status as a proper explorer, nearly 60% of adventurers failed in the Wood Rank. Hence, Kaido's promotion to Stone Rank was a testament to his hard work and perseverance. Reflecting on this accomplishment, Kaido acknowledged the role Sylphie played in his success, but he also credited his 2 years of solo hunting, realizing that it hadn't been entirely fruitless. Miss Hitsugaya shifted the conversation and inquired if Kaido was aware of the sealing of the eastern area on the first floor that occurred approximately a week ago. Kaido, playing it off, feigns ignorance about the situation in the eastern area of the first floor, acting as though he didn't possess much information. He questions Miss Hitsugaya, wondering if it was related to the tremor incident he had heard some rumors about. Miss Hitsugaya continued, mentioning the sealing of the area where the tremors originated, explaining that the investigation was ongoing and information was being restricted. Kaido vividly recalled the events of that day, relieved that Miss Hitsugaya remained unaware of Sylphie's involvement. However, Miss Hitsugaya then revealed that she had a specific question for Kaido regarding that incident. She knew that Kaido had been exploring the eastern area of the first floor on that day and asked if he had noticed anything unusual. Although Kaido initially wanted to mention the sudden change in atmosphere, he decided to fabricate a story instead, claiming that he had been at home that day. Miss Hitsugaya, however, was one step ahead. She had already confirmed Kaido's name on the list of individuals who had entered the eastern area, exposing his lie. Well, this was bad. Faced with the repercussions outlined in Dungeon Law Act 24 regarding damages within dungeons, Kaido panicked, fearing that any misinterpretation of the incident could lead to severe consequences, potentially even separating him from Sylphie. To avoid the investigation, Kaido resorted to evasive tactics. Claiming a sudden recollection of the incident, Kaido pretended to recall his fortunate circumstance that day, asserting that he had been exploring the western area, thereby not being involved in the mentioned incident. Miss Hitsugaya sought confirmation, prompting Kaido to reaffirm his statement. However, she probed further, questioning why Kaido had taken the eastern route if he was headed towards the western side. Attempting to maintain his facade, Kaido fabricated an excuse, stating that he had chosen the longer path for health reasons, engaging in hunting activities along the way and continuing with a jog until reaching the western area. Despite his assertions, Kaido felt a pang of shame and guilt for resorting to such blatant lies. He knew that he could come up with something better. Of course, Miss Hitsugaya was going to be a hell lot of suspicious now. Miss Hitsugaya expressed her apologies to Kaido for the intrusive nature of the investigation, acknowledging that her questioning might have seemed abrupt. Despite the absurdity of Kaido's fabricated story, she appeared to accept it, much to Kaido's relief. She explained that they had received orders from higher-ups to question everyone who had entered or exited the dungeon that particular day, indicating that Kaido had been fortunate with the timing of the investigation. Observing Kaido's injury, Miss Hitsugaya inquired if it was related to the incident under investigation. Unintentionally, Kaido disclosed his encounter with a skeleton that led to his collapse, feeling a pang of disbelief at revealing his hidden secret. Hitsugaya, maintaining her composure, advised Kaido to be more cautious. Despite his apprehensions, Miss Hitsugaya smiled at Kaido, asking if anything else troubled him. Trying to conceal his unease, Kaido assured her that everything was fine. She reassured him that she had gathered all the information needed and allowed him to leave. As Kaido hastily exits the scene, exchanging pleasantries, Hitsugaya's smile lingers until she's caught off guard by her colleague, Nakoto-san, who remarks on her apparent enjoyment of the moment. Nakoto-san questions Hitsugaya about her decision not to pursue further investigation with Kaido, to which Hitsugaya implores her colleague not to report this to higher authorities, an agreement that Nakoto-san immediately accepts. Outside, trouble looms for Kaido as a group of boys deliberately cause him to trip. The leader of the group, a troublemaker, demands an apology from Kaido for the collision. In an unexpected turn, Kaido, displaying an unconventional response, sarcastically apologizes, thinking that he must have frightened them. This unexpected reaction from Kaido confuses the group, leaving them to wonder if he's intentionally provoking a confrontation. Nakoto-san and Hitsugaya observe the unfolding confrontation, both concerned about the potential escalation of the fight. Nakoto-san expressed that explorers like these boys shouldn't engage in quarrels or fights. She noted that the current lack of stringent standards for explorer selection allowed almost anyone to become an explorer, a fact that troubled her. Hitsugaya refrained from commenting, considering it not something they needed to intervene in. Meanwhile, the gang leader held Kaido up, mocking him for being an explorer. Nakoto-san grew increasingly anxious, doubting if Hitsugaya's favorite explorer, Kaido, could endure the situation. However, Hitsugaya remained confident in Kaido's ability to handle the situation. Nakoto-san observed that Kaido seemed incapable of fighting back and was taking quite a beating. As tensions escalated, the gang leader struck Kaido across the face. The arrival of officers halted the altercation, warning the group to cease fighting or face the risk of being banned.